I've done that before and actually lost the whole podcast. So,
Oh my gosh.
I know it's a travesty. I'm a victim of my own bad brain. So I was wherever I was the other day, just yesterday, I had left my computer in another place. And so I was like, oh, I'm all set. And then I'm like, okay, where's my computer? So I had to go get
Oh
it.
no, that must be horrible.
It's just the problem with my brain. I'm doing way too many things. Huh.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
Right. Well, the podcast and training people and just sending videos and trying to promote the business and it's really hard to do while I'm still teaching. So I'm actually getting
Right. Yeah, I was about to say high school teacher as well. That's already a full-time
yeah
job.
I'm getting ready to retire this next year, so it's going to get better, but I think it's
Right.
going to get worse before it gets better or whatever. So, well, enough about me. Let's talk about you, Jordan. It's Spolander, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And so you are from now, which part of South Africa for our listeners? And again, if you've just checked in, you're the early morning episode of Raise the Bar. I'm your host, Troy Haynes, and this is my guest, Jordan Spolander from South Africa. So tell
Yes. Hello, everyone. Cape Town, South Africa.
me.
The most southern part of South Africa.
Mm. And that which city again? I think I cut you off.
In Cape Town.
Cape Town. All right. Well, I had the right
Yes.
city that I picked on my world clock. We were trying to synchronize our watches, which is tough because you're 10 hours ahead. Um,
Right. Yeah. Thank you for, I mean, it's 6 a.m. there, right? It's a very early morning for
yeah,
you. So
yeah,
thank you
6
for
a.m.
taking the time.
Oh no, this is an honor. So as usual, the running joke on the show is that I come across all my guests on Instagram, and I just happened to be looking at my feed, and you popped up. So I don't know if you had followed me or if it was just because of the algorithm or whatever. But I watched you jump, and I was like, wow, she's really good. And then I saw that you were on the recruiting trail, and I was like, I've been fascinated with the changes in recruiting here in the United States just because of the proliferation. I actually blame, and actually, I don't know if blame is the right word, but I attribute it to football because football over here is
Oh,
so
yeah.
big that, this whole the NIL thing over here, this name,
Mhm.
image, and likeness thing, right? When I was a
Yes.
kid, way before you were born, I was at UCLA back in the early 80s. And there's a guy that announces football now at UC. He played at UCLA. Now he's on Fox 11, Troy Aikman, one of the great quarterbacks in the NFL, won 3 Super Bowls, and this big athlete. And he was at UCLA, and I remember at the time that you'd go to a game at the Rose Bowl. And I don't know if you know anything about American football, but they sell these jerseys, right? And so the jersey would be an Aikman jersey. It would have his number and his name and all that. And there were people making got to be hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars,
Right. Yes.
and the athletes would never see that money. So they actually had a lawsuit over here and won the lawsuit. And so that started this whole trickle down effect of we're going to start paying the athletes for their work.
Right.
And now it's kind of like Pandora's box. Like the genie's out and it's running wild. The football players are making unbelievable amounts of money,
Right.
and then basketball similar, and it's just kind of track and field. Unfortunately, we're on the smaller end of the scale. If you're at a
Mm.
really big school
Modernistic.
and they make a lot of money, it starts to come your way a little bit, so
Mm.
you can make money. Before, technically making money would have been getting your scholarship paid for, right? Getting your
Right.
school paid for, which is what
Mhm.
I had to work 2 years before I even got on scholarship at UCLA. And it wasn't some mind-numbing amount of money, not like what they've got going on now. So anyway, tell us a little bit about how high you've jumped so far, like how you got started. I'm really interested in, and then you're
Mhm.
jumping thus far. And are you a junior or senior in high school?
I'm currently a junior, so our years run a little bit different in South Africa. It runs like annually, so from January through to December. So
Hmm.
I'll graduate in December of 2026. So
Okay.
currently still a junior. I have been doing track and field since primary school, which is I think secondary school there, right?
Yes.
So I started high jump specifically in 2017. So it's been a long time. I started initially in 2015 with track, so just usual 80 meter, 100 meter sprints for juniors. And then when I was in grade three, I started with long jump and high jump. And I actually, for the first time, got my South African colors in the long jump when I was in grade four. And then from there onwards, I decided I found my groove more in high jump. So trained towards that, and I started becoming quite good at it. Then COVID hit, unfortunately. But throughout COVID, like my dad was basically my first coach for everything. I was one of those kids in primary school that did all the events as much as I could. I would do everything. And my dad would be my coach for quite literally everything. So then after COVID, and I started really focusing on high jump, I started with my current coach, and I've been with her for about 8 years now. And yeah, it's been amazing. So I competed this year at the African Games where I jumped my PR of 180. And yeah, it's been quite a journey, but I've really enjoyed it.
It is a whirlwind. So how your biggest height thus far again is how high?
180, so 1.8 meters.
Wow, 180. That's
Hmm.
183 is 6 feet. So we still
Yeah, I
think,
think it's 5'11.
yeah,
If I'm wrong, I think it's 5'11, yes.
we think in feet and inches here,
Yeah,
US
I,
still.
I visited the States recently for like recruitment, and I will say the conversions between the metric system and so on, it's something to get your head around. The Fahrenheit, the ounces, the feet. It's something to get my head around.
This is the kind of thing that would derail me 3 or 4 years ago. But now I
Learn to deal with it.
Father, I just want to pray with Jordan. I thank you so much. I asked her the question if she was a Christian. She said, "Yes, I am." I said, "What a blessing. This could be the first time we've ever prayed on a podcast." And I just thank you for her and just ask that you bless this time in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Awesome. So, Jordan, back to you. You've almost jumped 6 feet. You're a junior in high school. Now you've
Yes.
already done your junior year. Is that what you're saying? And now you're going to be entering your,
So
I'm,
I will be entering my senior next January, but I still have, well, I finished my junior year at the end of November. I'm busy writing exams currently. So my final exams for my junior year, I'm writing now.
right. So basically your junior is ending and are you guys doing an indoor season right now? I don't know.
No, so in South Africa, we actually don't have indoor season.
Okay.
We only have outdoor, and that's because we don't have the facilities for an indoor season.
Right.
So we might have indoor training grounds in the
Mhm.
country, but we definitely don't have any competing tracks. So we only focus on outdoor seasons here.
Okay. So that's different. I'm sure, and I'm sure with your excellence in performing so far that there's got to be some kind of youth national teams and stuff that are all over you, right? Do they want you competing for them on the international scene, like the under 14s and under 16s and that kind of stuff?
Yes, yes. I mean, the African Games is a great example thereof. I mean, you have to, here at least, you have to qualify or win nationals of some sorts, junior nationals. So that's how I qualified to go to the African Games. I won our junior national champs. But yes, I would love to compete for my country, for South Africa, next year at the Junior World Champs in Oregon.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd hope
Yeah.
that would be
Wow.
amazing. Yeah.
That would be awesome. It's amazing to me the doors that open for you, when you're competing at a pretty high level. So that's pretty cool. Do you have Olympic dreams now? I mean, 6 feet is remarkably close. I mean, I'm sure within another 5 centimeters, you're up at 185, which is what 6 feet 3/4 of an inch, and then you're at 190, which is 6'2" 3/4 of an inch, and well, 195 is 6'4 3/4, which is super competitive,
That's up there.
well,
Yeah, that's up
both
there.
collegiately and worldwide. So, talk to us a little bit about your goals there.
Right, right. I mean, of course, it would be an honor to compete at the Olympics, the Diamond League, the Olympics, the World Athletics. I would love to do it all. So, I mean, in my current training program, I would hope to progress at least, well, hopefully 5 centimeters a season. Easier said than done, of course. But one of the main reasons I would like to go to the States is that the training facilities is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I can especially say that now after I've visited. The support, the coaches, behind the scenes, the nutrition, everything is just top notch.
Yeah.
So going to the States, I would hope would help me achieve those dreams of competing on the Olympic level.
Awesome. Yeah, it is kind of eye-opening. When I was first starting competing I started jumping back in 1976. I was 12 years old, and I just watched the Olympics and Dwight Stones, the American high jumper, had just taken the bronze again, but he was the current world record holder. And he was a little bit miffed that they jumped outdoors in the rain. And then like 2 weeks later, he set the world record again. So the high jump was hot over here in the US. And Fosbury, who invented the style, was an American, and he won it in 68. He won the gold medal. He jumped 7'4" with the new style. So it was, if anybody knew anything about track and field, which it used to be a lot more than there is now, as far as national awareness goes. Everybody's like, "Hey, are you a flopper? Do you still do that old Western roll?" I mean, I'm sure if you ask high jumpers now, like this is a good test question. What does the Western roll mean to you? Do you have enough of a high jump background to know what that is?
I I can visually explain to you. I can't give you the history thereof, but I can try to explain it. Well,
You're a
from what I
student of
understand,
sport.
yeah, it used to be like you would approach the bar with your stomach facing it, and then
Yeah.
kind of like roll over the bar. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
never
the
tried it.
Western roll, the straddle, they call it
Yeah.
straddle, yeah. So, and it's interesting to me in that, I'm sure you've seen the moniker of my podcast or the lab, Sky High and Fly Jump Lab is what we're calling the business now. And part of that is that my brain can be very experimental. Like when I'm trying to get someone to hit vertical or to lean into the curve more or whatever, I really can get down to some brass tacks and go, we need to be doing this. And I'm trying to think of a way to invent a drill, something to get it through, whatever. And there have been times that I've taught some athletes where I'm like, they're just not, they don't look like a flopper at all. They're really strong. And I'm like, I've tried a couple kids to teach them to straddle, which is just
Oh.
totally out of my league. I mean, I'm just like, I have no idea. I tried it. They made us try it because it was still pretty, you could see it. Like Vladimir Yashenko of the Soviet Union jumped 7, 8.5, with the straddle. So it's like
Mhm.
it's a viable
It's doable. Yeah.
thing that you could do if you had someone that was maybe old enough or it was like, okay, let's get you to try this. I don't know if anybody actually would anymore, but when I still jumped, there were still people that would do it. Every once in a while, I jumped against a guy jumped 7'3", and he actually ran a J curve into a straddle, which was really interesting. So that to me, I'm always that guy that's like, that would be fun. Let's try that. It's different.
Yeah.
It's whatever. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know how I got sidetracked on that, but watching the early on and the all that stuff. Oh, I remember I was going to high school. So when I jumped in high school, our weight room was a travesty. It was like there was one dip bar where you could do dips, and there was a
Hmm.
universal machine where you could sit down and do a press like this. I think there was a leg machine, something. It's this thing you would find at a Jack LaLanne's here. He's an old fitness guy, or a YMCA gym, right? Very, very archaic. And one power rack, and I wouldn't even call it a power rack. I think it was just a bar on the ground that you could, do squats and cleans with. And then, I walked into UCLA and the weight room was this mecca. I mean, it was just,
I experienced the
yeah,
exact same thing. I mean, my high school doesn't have a weight room, never mind the bare minimum. We don't have one.
yeah,
So walking into USC, Stanford, Chapel Hill, Arkansas, seeing those weight rooms was incredible. I mean,
yeah.
stuff like those plates that they use to test your verticals and your imbalance and so on. We
Mhm.
have four in the whole country, and
Yeah.
each university has their own. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing over here, Jordan, is that again, the proliferation, the explosion of sports. It is so popular. It is such a mega billion trillion dollar business. It's silly. I mean the Boston Celtics sold the team last year for like, I don't know, so many billions of dollars, like 13 billion or something like
Oh
that,
my gosh. Yeah.
just own the team, because the Celtics have won more titles in the NBA than anybody. And the Lakers are like one behind them, right? They're right there with them. And the Lakers are the same. Like if the Lakers sold, even to buy a part of the Lakers would be billions of
Mhm.
dollars. So it's like, and that's just franchises, right? When you get to the
Right.
television contracts are ridiculous. The NFL, there's 32 teams in the football league. the NFL's sharing the revenue of the television contracts. So each team has a share of the revenue, and each team gets $400 million every year just
Oh
for
my
being in the league.
gosh.
So you could be the worst team in the league, and they're going to hand
Yeah.
you a check for $400 million. So you could go, well, what's the motivation? You could be a terrible team and just rake in your 400 million and go, okay, we went 0 and 16. You guys killed us, but you can't do that. You have to field a decent team. So, you do put money into it, but I mean, the spending cap on the salaries is 282 million. So that leaves you
Hmm.
180 million, right? And you got to pay your coaches and you got this and that. But everybody forgets, is like, okay, well, what about the 10 home games you have every year? They got to make at least, I'm ballparking, but maybe 10 to 15 million dollars every home game, because you got to, people in the stands are going to pay money,
Yeah.
buy food, they got to park their cars. Parking is ridiculous. They'll charge you 20 bucks, 30 to park your car. It's like,
Yeah.
so it's just stupid. So when you get to that, and then again, TV drives everything. So when you get to the playoffs, they have these outrageous games that are super competitive, and the TV ratings go through the roof, which is where all your advertisers make their money, right? So
Mhm.
this proliferation of sports, when I went to UCLA and got my kinesiology degree, the people were asking me, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to be a trainer? And by trainer, they meant the guy in the room that tapes your ankles or sticks
Mhm.
in the whirlpool, right? Or shows you some exercises or whatever. And I'm like, as important as that is, and I love those guys, no, not for me. But at the time, the other option would be, oh, are you want to be a coach? And I didn't even know if I wanted to be a coach. I was still an athlete. Now you can go into sports psychology, you can go into sports business, you can go, I mean, it is just proliferated. There's recovery, that whole idea of being a trainer guy. Now you can be both a trainer, speed, power, all those things, right? Agility. You can do any or all of that. You can make it particular niche, or you can just have the whole thing, or you can be like, oh, what if you get injured, right? How can we get you
Mhm.
back on the field ASAP? And that is a science, because if I'm paying a guy $50 million a year to play for me, I don't want him sitting on the sidelines hurt. I want to
Yeah,
get
of course not.
there.
No.
It doesn't, it's bad business. I can't pay a guy $50 million a year to be hurt the whole season. So it's like they have the best orthopedic surgeons. They have this, they have, the best, latest techniques, right? LeBron James apparently spends millions of dollars every year on sleep. He's a big sleep proponent. He's a big recovery guy. I mean, he's 40 years old and he's still playing top level basketball. So he's
Hmm.
right. He's like, okay, well, maybe I can play till I'm 50, who knows, but it's going to end sometime, right? So anyway, the training, like you're saying, if I'm going to not only try to keep everybody healthy, then I'm also going to keep pushing the envelope on training, right? We're going to find out, how are we going to make you faster? How are we going to make you stronger? How are we going to make you more explosive, right? And then you're studying and learning techniques, and you're watching camera angles, and it's crazy. This
There's
is
a lot going on. Yeah.
fun. It's fun. Now that I'm in this business, I wish I'd have started coaching right after I left college, immediately, but I didn't know it could be this much fun. So, but anyway, let's get back to you, because you're the topic at hand. You just mentioned some schools that are really big names. You
Hmm.
mentioned USC. Now, USC, and they're my hated rivals because I was a UCLA guy.
Of
So
course, yes.
when we went against USC, by the way, for you USC homers out there, when Troy Haynes was at UCLA back in the early 80s, we never lost to you guys. My 4 years there, we just stomped on SC. And then they got a new head coach, Ron Alice, who used to coach at Long Beach City College. And then they started getting better. Now, just last year, I hate to say this, USC
Hmm.
won the men's and women's titles in track and field, which I just find mind blowing, because I know how strong both the Big Ten and the SEC are. You mentioned Arkansas. Arkansas is a power. LSU is a power. What are the other SEC schools? Alabama, Georgia. They have really, really strong competitive teams. And again, those are all major football schools. So there's money
Right.
flowing through
Hmm.
the programs. But the Big Ten is the new big player, because the Big Ten has just gotten itself lined up. The two power conferences that everybody recognizes, in almost every sport, right? So,
Right.
of course, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington all jumped from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. So now
Mhm.
they got to raise their game to play with the big boys, and SC came through. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe I'm saying that. SC came through and they won 2 titles last year.
Glad you could say it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're getting courted by all of those, obviously. So you can level with us. Who's the front runner? Who's got your most attention?
Ooh, I do have one in mind. I will admit I do have one. I enjoyed visiting all four schools. They were all amazing, great coaches, great facilities, amazing team. I do have one in mind. I'm not too sure if I can say so yet
Oh, I know.
because I need to sign first and
I
I
could.
don't want to jeopardize any opportunities, but I do have one in mind and I enjoyed it. The coach is incredible, the team's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
I will
Must
let
be.
you know as soon as I can.
Oh, that's awesome. It must be great to be the flavor of the month. I mean, I would be all over you like a cheap suit. It's like, oh my gosh, you got a year left, basically, right? You're going to start your outdoor season coming up relatively soon for your senior year. Now, that's an interesting one. If your season's just about kind of wrapping up now, you're saying your junior year is just about coming to a close in November, you're taking your exams. So you're going to start your senior year, some here in the next couple months. So that goes around for a whole year. Now, when do you officially, wrap up state finals ish? Because it sounds kind of late. It almost sounds like you're going to get done late, and all of a sudden you're going to be over here in the States, and it's going to be getting ready for indoor and all that.
Hmm.
Unless
Yeah,
I'm,
so it's
yes,
quite a bit confusing. Since I'm graduating in December only of next year, I'll be a spring intake. So I'll start in January of 27,
that makes it,
just as it's
yeah,
about to start.
start
Yeah.
right outdoor. Yeah, won't have to worry about indoor. I forget about that. They're really two kind of co-equal half seasons, but even then, I think indoors a lot shorter still.
And I find that outdoor has the largest impact on rankings and so on and the
Sure.
importance of the team.
Yeah. So have you done any indoor competitions thus far?
No, I have not. I'm lucky that high jump is one of the least affected items by indoor.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm not daunted by it. I'm actually very excited for my first indoor season. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's obviously something to adjust to, but I don't think it should take long.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it's a little bit of a shocker. I don't know what it is about being outdoor versus indoor. I, for one, and this story's come up more than a few times. I have 3 meets in my whole career indoor, and they're all travesties. They're just awful. So
Oh,
I
really?
did not adjust well to indoors, but the venues out here in California were terrible. So first of all, the surfaces were wood. So you're running on wood and spikes. That should tell you
Ooh,
everything you need.
no.
It was
No,
terrible.
that's enough to say. Yeah.
So in high school, my approach was 20 feet wide by 60 feet deep, right?
Mhm.
So it's pretty wide. When I got to UCLA, they literally mocked me to scorn. Like, what are you doing out there? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, I jumped 210 in high school from there. So I'm like, I think this is fine. And they're like, no, no, you got to learn how to run a curve. You got to get in here tighter. Well, I did have an experience with that my senior year because we went to the indoor meet. It was the LA Sunkist, and they got us in this place. And I'm going to tell you, indoor venues, the ones that I've been at, are cramped. They are
Yes.
tinier.
That
So
is something the coaches said to me too. They said the biggest adjustment is the spatial awareness of it. But I mean, back home, our meets at home, I would say it's not very organized. So you do have people walking on the track when they're not supposed to and so on. So I've learned my fair share of spatial awareness. I don't think it will get to me too much.
yeah, I don't know what it is. It's not that I feel cramped, it's just is
Mhm.
cramped, and then
Yeah.
I think it's harder to warm up. There's like nowhere to go. If you're going to run around on the track, there's usually events going on. So they say, you can't be on the track. And you're like, okay, well, where do you want me to go? You want me to run around the stadium outside in the parking lot? Like, where am I warming up exactly? So yeah, it's a different animal. But, and then some of these places, again, that I've seen they look a lot bigger. It depends on the place. If you're back east, say, I don't know, let's say Michigan or something, and it's snowing, here in California, there is no reason to train indoors ever. And if we get a week of rain in California, it's a stunner. It's like we got a week straight of rain. That would be crazy. That would be the only thing that could mess up training. And even then, the tracks are all weather. I'm like, you know what? You guys can jump into the pit. You make it a little wet, but you're going to be all right. So we could still train outdoors.
Oh
But
yeah.
we go back east, there's snow on the ground, there's ice. You're not training outdoors, you're going to train indoors. And all
Mhm.
those facilities are pretty nice. I've seen kids jumping some of their meets on basketball courts, right? You put the pits on wood floor, and I'm like, I've been dying to try that. I'm going to
Yeah.
see if I can get you and some of these other young stars and go, hey, let's come here. I'm going to get a really nice basketball gym and have a super bouncy floor because I have played basketball on some floors that were nice where if you're wearing really nice basketball shoes, you can run very fast. And we all know basketball players jump out of the building, right? They can tomahawk dunk from the free throw line. They're getting plenty of
Oh
air.
yeah.
And I'm like, the only difference between a basketball player and a high jumper to me is basketball players always land on their feet. If you can teach them how to spin over a little bit, they'd be fine. So it's like, hey, let's do this indoors. This would be fun. That would be the time that I would look to something and say, I don't want anything else in here, just the pit, the standards, put up all the baskets so they're up and out of the way. And now make sure the floor is really shiny, and grippy. So you can wear some really nice, trainers or shoes or whatever it is you want to jump in. There won't be any spikes. It won't be like that because you don't need them. That would be fun. So that's just
Mm.
thinking out loud again. Okay, so let's do this. I want everybody to see you in action. So I am going to share with you, and we're going to watch. You only sent me one. That was the only good
Yeah,
angle,
sorry.
but
Yeah, we
that
did
is
often take
okay.
lots of videos. Yeah.
And unfortunately, you are not on screen that much. So, all right, let me see if you can. I'm going to share. Zoom is requesting to bypass the system. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to make this bigger. And I apologize. This is one part of my game that I have not been able to get any better than this. So this is as big as
No
it's.
worries.
So can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
So we've got two steps of you coming in. So the first thing I would say right here, I'm looking at this foot. I love this because if you guys are looking at this on screen and you can see this at all, you're going to see this leg sticking out here. It's Jordan's penultimate step on her right foot. And as she's hitting here, this is one of the first things I preach and teach all the time because of my little Romanian coach. He was like, you big man, you must come in and lean left and
Oh
get your
yeah, you're
heel.
gonna
I
say
want
got
heel
lean.
toe, heel toe. That was all he said. Last two steps, heel toe, heel toe. I'm like, what? What are you talking about, Elias? And it's like, there's a lot of translations problems with Elias, but I understood heel toe to be lean back, lean left, and you get a roll effect, which I've come to realize for a bunch of reasons I really like because you need to be back. And also, I think it pre-stretches your calves to jump. Like nobody puts their toe down first. You put your toe
Oh
down,
no.
calf
Yeah.
contracts, and you can't jump, right? So you put your heel down and then you roll through it. So here you come. And the other thing I like is you can not even see your body, you just see your leg. That means your upper body's got to be back somewhere off screen, right? Pretty much
Mhm.
tilted up. One of the other things I'm preaching all the time is trying to line up your upper body with whichever leg is on the ground. And if that leg is completely straight, your upper body should match, in my estimation, right? So here you come. And boom, there you can see that leg, and your upper body is almost completely in a straight line with it. So these are the angles that I measure here. Gosh, I wish I could blow this up. It looks like your foot is tilted to the left at a 45. You and I came from the same side, and you're a
Mhm.
fast, tall single arm, which I get. How tall are you, Jordan?
I'm 177 centimeters.
So
So
you've jumped
yeah,
over your
I
own
think five.
head, which is amazing.
Yes,
And what does that come out feet and inches? Like 5'10"?
5'10", I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 5'10", tall, fast, awesome. So you come flying in, you're a single arm. I can tell by that lead arm flinging its way up there already. This is the other thing I try to teach my single arm. I go, look, right as Jordan's heel is hitting the ground here, your elbow's as high as your shoulder, which means it's just going to continue on up from there. And I teach him, I go, look, you're not using that lead arm for lift. That arm is to make you taller. So even at 5'10", your center of mass as you raise that arm up is even higher already, even before
Mhm.
you hit takeoff, which is amazing. So let's see. Your foot plant angle is it a little away from the bar? Are you
Yes,
tilted
yeah. It's
out?
just yeah,
Just
that might have been a bit of a rotation. I'm not too
yeah.
sure, but
Well,
it's yeah.
see, this is the next thing. Like I'm gonna write a book. Are you ready? I'm gonna announce this here on Raise the Bar. I'm gonna write a book that's either gonna be titled How Goldilocks and the Three Bears Teach the High Jump or The Story of the 645s. So the story of the 645s is that I believe there's 645-degree angles that you can use to your advantage. One is here at the plant, which I would like to get your foot pointed in towards the pit more, but that's something for somebody else. And then the next one is if you could, and these are goals, most of my, they may be unattainable, but your lean away from the bar, like if you can imagine here, I can't draw this on here. Gosh, if I was really prepared, I would see, you see the line of the standard here? You move that over to your foot and then you look at your body angle, right? We'd say, okay, you're leaning at what? 20 degrees, let's say, to your left as you come to the plant, right? The farther over you're leaning, the more of that catapult effect you get. It's more likely that you're going to hit vertical at takeoff, right? So if you're wondering what I'm talking about here, hitting vertical, let's watch Jordan come through. Boom, boom, boom. See her toe leave the ground right here? Everybody, you see how perfectly straight your leg is? Upper body's a little bit past. So this isn't perfect vertical, but it's pretty darn good, right? And so from here, what do? Well, now you're just going to ride up. But the thing that we've got is a 45-degree angle here. So if you plant your foot, this is what I'm teaching my guys. I go, if you plant your foot flat to the ground, you're going to get a couple of really good lean angles. One of the ones you cannot see here because of this angle is your lean back. Okay, there is a lean back angle that you can get. You have to shoot that from a 90-degree angle to where you are when you line up those last two steps. So like if we watch right here, even though your both feet aren't on the ground at the same time, like right here, you can see you've toed off of that right foot and you're going to put your left foot on the ground. So if you draw a line right there and then swing the camera out at 90 degrees to that, you're going to see your last step in its full length, right? And then hopefully your upper body's lined up with that, which there's going to be some of that also. So that's one lean angle, right? There's a lean back, there's a lean left, and then there's also a tilt. I call it 3 dimensions of lean, okay? So, and we're trying to maximize all of those. So that's 3 of the 45s right there. And then what, 3 lean angles of 45. Your foot plant, I'd like to get it a 45. Okay, so that's 4. Here comes the 5th one. We ready? See that knee
Yes,
drive moving across? If you make a line from your leg, right? Picture it like hands on a clock. Okay, the way I'm looking at it now, is your leg is straight up and down, and then your other leg is like the short hour hand, right? So it looks like 6 o'clock because the one leg's straight down, and then this is around over here at like 7:30 maybe. That's almost another 45. If you look at that angle. Now, the thing here, which I think is amazing, is see how your knee is coming all the way across your hip. What I teach my guys and gal high jumpers is, hey, I need that knee to come all the way across and big time. Okay. Because if it doesn't, you'll kind of be under rotated and you're not really getting much lift, right? Because you're driving your knee technically away from the bar here, right? You're going away from the bar plane. So even though you're running towards the pit, your knee drive is trying to go the other way. And that's really the main mover here because everything else kind of gets pulled across. Now, your lead arm is awesome. I think one of the reasons is you're really close. Does anybody talk to you about getting farther away from the bar at all?
So a little backstory of this video. This video is taken towards the end of February. To put in perspective, I competed at the end of August in the African Games. So this is quite early on in the season. It was just one of the only videos I had of this angle. But this was when my dad and I just went casually on the weekend to go jump. So this wasn't training with my coach or anything. This was just leisurely jumping. So there's not much technique, but yeah.
Oh, no, I beg to disagree. I think your technique is fantastic. Now, if it sounds like I'm nitpicking, that's because I am like a minutia guy. Like I'll get into the littlest thing. So, but these are, to me, this right here, your knee drive is borderline world class because of that action there. That knee drive at 45, it's as high as your hip. If you look right here, you can see Jordan's knee is exactly level to her right hip. And it's actually across my view. If I'm trying to look at your left leg, I'm blocked by your knee getting in my way. And that has to happen. If it doesn't, I think it's very detrimental to a lot of high jumpers. And I can go through and point them all out to you. Mahuchich, you go on the world level and you get this same shot from either side, you're going to see that knee action all the time. It doesn't matter. Single armor, double armor, zero armors. Have you seen any of the zero armors yet? They hit the ground with both arms.
I used to be a double armor, so I've been through it.
You've been through the double to single, right? And then the no armors are a trip. That the gal last year, the 2 years ago, I guess, 2024 Summer Games, so it's a year and a half. She was I think she either won the gold or the gold or the silver from the US. She's real tall, and she would hit when your foot was hitting the ground and you had the lead arm up, she'd have both
Mhm.
arms already up,
Yeah.
right? And so you're going, she has no arm lift. I'm like, she can't be using her arms to do anything. They're already up, So it's like when you hit your foot on the ground, your arms are up, you're not getting any of this, any drive.
Mhm.
But I go, look at how high her center of mass is because she's tall. And I go, she gets her
She
arms up. I
is.
go, she's already got a super high center of mass. And her knee drive is just like yours. It's up and across like gangbusters. And the other thing I love is now I think you're forced to pop your hip here a little early just because you're so
Mm.
close to the bar. Like you didn't have a chance to ride that knee out, right? To just leave
Right.
it where it is and let it keep rising up until it's done and then hammer. Because look at how flexible you are. This is amazing. There are people out
I
here.
was a dancer for about 7 years, so that's where my flexibility came from.
Say that again?
I did dancing contemporary for about
Yes.
7 years.
Okay.
That's why I'm flexible.
Any
Yeah.
ballet in there? Any ballet background?
I did a little bit, but I was mostly temporary and contemporary and lyrical. So
I would, our political views with Russia and everything aside, the Russian athletes, the way they used to be classically trained, and I don't know if they still do this because of the change, in the government over there in the last 40 or 50 years. From the time when I was a kid, we boycotted the 1980 games and, in protest of what the Russians were doing, right? So 76, they were still around and, doing all kinds of stuff. And then I don't remember, I don't think they came to our games in 84. I think they just said, oh, yeah, you're not coming to ours, we're not coming to yours. So I don't remember the Russians in 84 either. But excuse me, when they're around, you started learning about, especially gymnastics, diving, right? But just about anything. All of their athletes, when they were younger, they used to take ballet. They
mm,
classically trained them, meaning they were taking classic ballet. So they had to learn how to balance and how to move and how to point, how to extend. There was no slouching, right? Everybody was as tall as they could be, right? And you're picturing this little line going up through your head and all that. And they looked like it, all of their athletes. So yeah, this is amazing here. People kill for this position that you're in right here. I would try to get that lead arm maybe down towards your foot. I got a big thing about getting your body as small as I can in the air, or back on your hip. But it's like, this is really, really good. What I like to see here is the head when your head and your feet are on the same level right here, hopefully still in that bridge, right? And then still spinning because that's again when your body's coming short. I'm trying to teach my guys that like you don't really pull that hard here because your rotation is good. But I see some people throw their head back early, right? And they're arching and they're holding and then they try to pull their feet over really hard. And when you do that, your butt tends to just drop straight down.
drop. Yep.
And I'm like, don't pull, just wait. There's no
And
point.
just rotate over. Yeah.
There's no point in pulling. Just stick that position. If you watch, this is fascinating to me, but if you watch the 2016 Olympics, the men, if you ever get a
Mhm.
chance, if you haven't done it, you need to do it because it's Barshim at the peak of his powers. He's very, very good. And then it's Bondarenko, the Soviet, the Ukraine. He's jumped
Mhm.
240, 241 or something like that. And he and Barshim both jumped 711, the same meet one year, which has never been done before. And then Derek Druin from Canada, who was just on fire and beat both of them silly, which I was blown away by because I'd never seen anybody as good as those other two. And Derek Druin showed up and just pounded both of them. All three of them, when they jump and they jump well, they would spin in the air and almost land on their hands and feet. Like they would
Mhm.
rotate so far that they never had to pull. They just spun, like you said, and they would just put their hands down. I'm like, who does that? I'm
Yeah.
usually
How do you get that done? Yeah.
rotated really well. I'd be landing way up on my neck, on my head, but I never completed the flip, And I think part of it is you're kind of scared at that point, right? You got to learn how to do that. But
Oh
this,
yeah.
this is great stuff, Jordan. Let me see. So a lead single armor, a lot of things you're doing well right here. See the backside arm, how it comes up by your head? I've seen some people drive that arm underneath or across their
Oh,
chin, like
no.
that
I
way.
go up and straight
Yeah.
by the
So
body.
you're trying to get up. And this is what I teach people here too. Notice the force of the speed force of your approach is what pulls that backside arm towards the bar. It's very difficult to drive all of your limbs, literally all four, in my estimation, should be driving away from the bar. Now, the end result of where they go will not look like where you're trying to drive them because of the forces involved. They kind of pull on you, right? I teach that there's a little gnome living in the middle of the pit called Mr. Momentum, that he's always trying to get everybody to come join him. And we always do because, unless you're running purposefully away from the bar and you can't get into the pit, that's one thing. But as soon as you're directing most of your energy towards the pit, into the pit you shall go eventually, right? So,
Right.
and see, look at how that knee just keeps coming across. Like you got it there before toe off, and now it just keeps coming. I mean, now you can see that knee angled out across. That's huge. And this is the other thing I teach. Watch that backside arm. Everybody's backside arm, almost to a person, will drop straight down to that hip, no matter what style. It's kind of weird. Not always, but it's a pretty solid rule. Then here you notice there mid back to shoulder. So even though this position's awesome, I would still say it was forced on you a little bit early, just because I think you're a little bit close here. But it's a
Because yeah,
really
you definitely landed higher. Yeah.
the hardest thing for a lot of jumpers to learn is to get farther away from the bar as it goes up, because you just have to have more room and more time. If
No,
you
it's daunting. I mean, I remember the first time my coach instructed me to move further away. It's a daunting process. I mean, it feels like you're not going to make it.
right,
So it
right.
takes some time. Yeah.
That's a conflict. Okay, this is something you might mention this to your coach and see if they agree. I'm always curious. Someday I'm going to write some kind of a big manifesto on high jump, or like what do you call it? An encyclopedia. Like my brain is full of so many things. But my idea that I'm always teaching is there's two sides of your brain. There's analytical brain, which when you and I are sitting here talking technique, you're like, oh yeah, totally makes sense. I get it. Sure, 45 degrees. Yeah, fire your knee that way. Absolutely. Tilt your head away from the bar. Sure. But when your brain, your what I call survival brain, when you're running towards a pit, your survival brain goes, hey, see this nice soft pit over here? Let's land over
Mhm.
here. Okay. All right. And this bar thing up here, let's not land on that. I've done that before. That's pretty painful. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to bail across, and you're going to grab that bar and throw it out of the way. And we're going to land on this nice soft pit. Okay. We're ready. And you're running. And it's like a fight between the two sides of your brain, right? Analytical brain's going, no, 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 we got
Oh
to.
yeah, totally.
And survival brain's going, oh, no, 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 that's a bad idea. That does not have my personal well-being in mind. So I'm going to veto that plan. And you have to battle that in every drill, jumping off a ramp. I got kids that are afraid to jump off ramps. I'm like, are you kidding? You get more air off of ramp. It's like, I don't know. That looks kind of scary. I'm like, so first of all, high jumpers are the second craziest of all the athletes. Although I think the shot putters and discus throwers would give us a run for our money in their training. Oh my gosh, I know so many crazy shot putters and discus throwers. But as far as the actual competing of the event, there are a ton of people who are scared to death of leaving the ground and
Pole
flipping
vault
over
must
on
be
their
scary.
backs, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty scary for a lot of people, right? That they won't even try the high jump. Well, guess what? We're not the craziest. Who do you think the craziest athletes are?
I think it's a pole vault.
Yes,
It's like,
absolutely. The
that's
craziest.
properly high. It's the pole vault.
Yeah, pole vault has got to be number one on the list of crazies, because, I mean, you just have to be crazy to throw yourself upside down. I was watching Mondo jump his, to,
Stories.
oh, at 20 feet in the air to do that stuff is just, it's absolutely mind-bogglingly crazy. Okay, I've got enough power where I'm going to turn on some lights over here again. Mostly people are going to listen to this in their cars, but I do want them to be able to see. Ugh, this is bad. Okay. I don't want to be hiding in the shadows like some thug. Okay. So we're almost done with this. This is, and this is amazing because I'm really only getting a step and a half of yours at the most. Maybe, love the lean angle. See that? I preach what you're doing here. See how straight that arm is? Bam. Now, I think part of that is because you're so close, but I would definitely not ditch that. That has to be like that. I don't like to see that arm pointing towards the pit at all, right? Got to really hammer that up there, but you're
Oh
getting
no, because I mean, then you just follow.
right, exactly. Head tilt, all that. Now, see, and this is hard here. Your head right here, if I drew a straight line from say if we put a line in the middle of your forehead and then right down through your nose, that's already a vertical. So I think it's going to go across, but I also think that's the hardest thing to control. If you can actually tilt your head to the left and keep it there at heel strike, now we got a chance to come up, right? But if it's already here, it's going to go across. It's like every other part of your body, every
Mm.
segment,
Yeah.
everything else, they all tend to do the same things. So, but man, that knee drive, I see some really good stuff in your future at 5'10", and you're obviously not carrying a lot of weight. It's just your strength to weight ratio is off the charts. And now you're going to start lifting. That's
Thank
the
you.
only thing I would say is not a concern, just something to be aware of. And I'm sure your coaches will. But a lot of times, some of these coaches just go overboard with the strength training, and people just get slower. They might get a little bit heavier. There are
Mm.
some physiological changes that happen from your senior year in high school to your first year in college. I put on 15 pounds. I remember coming in and I was always thin.
Really?
Was worried about me getting hurt playing football. I was 6'3", what would you call it? 183? I don't know what that comes out to in meters, but 6'3", about 180 pounds in high school. And I was thin, but I was heavier than most. Like a lot of high jumpers are skinnier than I am, and they always were all the way through college. But when I got into
Mhm.
UCLA, I put on 15 pounds first year, and I wasn't trying to gain weight. I just put on 15 pounds. And I had
Okay.
to adjust to that. So I literally had to get a lot stronger or I wouldn't get off. I didn't get off the ground. My freshman year was a travesty. I was affectionately called by one of my other jumpers, the flying anvil, or maybe he was calling himself that, but I think it could have applied to me as well because I just couldn't get off the ground. Like I said, I jumped 210 in high school. I think my best jump as a freshman was maybe once I jumped 205. And then a couple of times I jumped 2 meters. I had a lot of trouble that first year transitioning. So, and we lifted and we ran and it was like I wasn't undertrained, but the difference in strength to weight ratio was a big one for the high jumpers. So, but yeah, I mean, like you're saying, everything is so much better now too. Like when the other trade secret when I got to UCLA was that for first 2 years I didn't even have a coach. It was the two really good jumpers.
That might be a problem.
Well, they were training me, and uh, they were very good jumpers. The one was whatever 7'7" is, what 230 is 7'6.5". So I think Della jumped 231, and then Lee had jumped 7'3" in high school, jumped 7'4" a bunch of times. They were really good jumpers, but they weren't yet coaches.
Yeah.
Now Lee Balkan ended up being a
Mm.
coach, very good one, but we were kids. We were 22 years old. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to build on here. Wow. So you've already jumped close to 6 feet. That's awesome. So where are you ranked over there in South Africa when it comes to both inside your own country and then inside the area that you're competing? Like you've got your high school stuff, which I'm sure you're highly ranked over there. Where's your placing on the hierarchies?
So in the country for the juniors, so I'm under 18 now. I'll move to under 20 next year. But under 18, I'm ranked first. In our senior champs, I'm second. So that's
Mhm.
including everyone, of course. And then in the southern region of Africa, I'm also first. And then because I got gold at the African Games, I guess you could say first in Africa.
Okay. But Africa is a huge continent, right?
It is a
I
very
mean,
big continent.
that's amazing. And then when you get to the African Championships, you're going against everybody, right? So
Yeah,
uh,
everyone.
Uganda and oh man, there's a lot of great athletes in Africa. I don't know if people understand that. Okay, this I'm just blown away. So Jordan, you have to send me more and more videos. I'd love it if it doesn't get you in any trouble. I would love to just feature you and teach
Oh yes,
through
I
you.
will definitely. If not, I'll film some. I'm
Yeah.
like getting slowly back into training. I'll definitely get a few angles for you.
I would love to do just a full video, analysis of everything because I can't see your approach at all and I can't see how you run and all that stuff. It's just this
Mm,
last, and there's so much here already that's just fantastic. So
thank
I'd like to
you.
do a full breakdown and use you to teach because I'm very close to, putting out what I'm going to call my high jump checklist 2.0, which is I did one for Barbara. Bachoco was my number one elite jumper, came down here from Canada to train with me. So she went she had jumped like 182 before she came to me, and we worked together for about 3 or 4 months, and she ended up jumping 185 or 187. She jumped 187.
Wow,
And so
that's
she
amazing.
she was now one of the better jumpers in Canada, right? I think number one for a while. Then she got hurt, but she's still young and she's still coming back. She still trains some and she's still kind of coaching a little bit too. But she asked me after about 2 weeks of training, so I think she got more than she bargained for with me. She actually just saw my stuff on Instagram and said, "I'm going to come train with you." And I was like, "Okay."
Okay,
This is
yeah.
fun. And I just like had the first chance to really unload on somebody that was pretty highly talented. To take someone from a lower level to that level is one thing, and then to take someone who's already got those skills and then build on them is something else, right? So she was like, she goes, "Can you write down all the things that you've told me thus far? The little things like heel toe, and this and that." I said, "Okay." And it literally came out to like a 2 page, and it's an
Oh yeah.
outline form only, and she goes, "Man, that's a lot of stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, I never really thought about how much is in my head and how many of these things I know are true and they work well." So it's like, it's impossible for you to run through that list in your head while you're
High
competing.
jump is like, in my opinion, obviously besides the pole vault, the most technique enriched
Mm,
item. Like there's so much going on that people have no idea about in high jump. So
yeah,
I have appreciation for people that jump in the Olympics and so on. I mean, it takes
yeah,
a lot. It's very,
absolutely.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I have that respect for all the field events. I think they're all very technical. I think the most difficult, to believe it or not, pole vault still, yeah. Triple jump to me,
Oh,
that's the one I just can't and I won't. I was like, because my coach Elias, he was big into all that. He could do long, triple, or high. He was world class in my estimation in all three. But it was like, I think he was even better triple jump guy. But I couldn't. I just couldn't do the
mm.
triple. I was like,
No, it's very on your like your lower body especially, it's very physically demanding.
oh, yeah. I mean, just the volume itself is crazy. And then, but the technique itself is too, it's hard to master those things and, getting on and off the ground and all that. It's a nightmare, but it's very technical. But yeah, the high jump, the checklist is in there. So we're coming out with 2.0. I've been writing it and of course it's expanded, but I'm like, I got to get it out of my head before my head explodes. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly getting bombarded with video, which is just so awesome because, again, you're talking to a dinosaur. Okay, when I was competing, we had none of this. The internet didn't exist. If I was going to see somebody and talk about their technique, I'd literally have to jump against them or go watch them. And I can tell you what that was like. Even watching the Olympics in '84, I have jumped against and coached with Doug Nordquist, who was at
Hmm.
84 games with Dwight Stones. He's this number two American. And he ended up jumping 7.6 and coming in fifth. He's an amazing jumper. He jumped 236, and Doug, um, you know, the stuff that I learned from Doug, watching him on TV, I got to see two jumps, one by Dwight and one by Doug. That was it from the 84 games here in LA. Terrible, terrible coverage. Just
Mm.
they don't even show the high jump. They show a jump and then they go away and they're watching a race.
Oh,
Of course,
and they
there's no
still
race
do that.
going.
They have not resolved that yet.
Oh, it's you can't get any flow. You have no idea. There's no drama. It's not like, oh, this guy's ahead on misses. It's like, and it's a great event for that. If somebody would present it that way, this is preaching to the choir, I know, but so yeah, I had no idea. I ended up jumping against both Dwight and Doug. They're out here in Southern California. Got to compete a bunch of times. Never came close to either of those guys. They just beat me like a drum. It was like I would be in learning mode, just going, "Oh my gosh, how did they do that?" And then, but that was rare. Here I'm getting to see you train in South Africa, or whatever competition videos you send. I get to see Mahuchits over there in the Ukraine. I get to see Barshim get to do his stuff. I get to see one of my favorites is Brandon Stark from Australia. I watch Brandon Stark stuff and I'm just like, oh my gosh, look at the stuff this guy does in
Yeah.
training. These are great drills, So I'm just like in steal mode and because I can tell what it's for. That's not my problem. I was like, okay, I'm looking at this and I saw a video last week of a guy who made the Olympics in 2024, and I can't remember his name. And as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. He made the final. I remember him. And he comes from the other side, and his lean back angle, when you see him start the curve, right? And I say most
Hmm.
people's curves are like 5 steps. Okay. I don't know whether you think that's true or not. Some people go, it's 4, depending on which way you're leaning. I'm like, I don't care. It's 4 or 5. But his curve, he's already leaning back as he gets to the curve. And I'm like, that doesn't just
That's
happen.
amazing.
You
Yeah,
can't
that's
just
difficult.
start leaning back there. So I go, first of all, you've got to be moving pretty fast to do that. And secondly, you have to be trained to do that because most people, when they're running, are leaning forward. It's just natural. That's why the heel toe is so big for Elias because he's trying to get you back because everybody's leaning forward to run forward. So it's like I'm teaching my guys now. I'm like, hey, I need you up super tall. And I go, it's going to be a little bit different dynamic because you have to pull a little bit. Like when you're a sprinter, you just push. It's explosive quads, and you got to pick your feet up and cycle them. That's kind of where the hamstrings have been involved. But now, if I get you standing up and your feet are starting to get in front of you a little bit, you got to pull before you can push. Changes a little bit of the dynamics. So I'm like, it'd be helpful if we were already moving pretty fast when we start the curve, but we got to continue to accelerate. It's one of the main rules, right? Accelerate all the way
Hmm.
through. And also,
Right.
but you see these tilt back angles, Jordan, and he's like this, and also it just looks like he's coming, boom, and he just hits this nice, easy arc, and he's just kind of lays back.
But
And I was like,
right.
and he's just sailing over stuff. And I'm just like going, that's it. That is it. I go, this
Exactly
is
how
what
to
I've
do
been
it.
preaching. It's like every once in a while I'll see something that crystallizes it. I'm like, I've been thinking that and I've been teaching it. I'm like, I want you guys to start leaning more back, even while we're running. And I don't just mean 2 steps, I mean like 5 steps. And they're like looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm talking about this because it finally came through on a video.
Yeah.
And then I've had an idea about in what I call inside out vertical for a while, just because of the physics. I go, if you could literally push everything away from the bar and be straight, I go, those jumps would be amazing. So I've seen a lot of people hit vertical, and you're very close here. I mean, I would say if there's a wash through here on you, let's say it's not perfectly vertical because your upper body be lined up with your leg, but I'm saying you're maybe washed through at about 2 degrees, which has to be for you to make this bar as close as you are. You cannot be washing through more because you'll knock it off on your way up. It's close anyway, right?
Right.
So, I think another 2 inches out here and you've got a much easier make, right? But I see a jump of Tamberries. They did this great video on Instagram like 6 months ago, and it showed his entire 2016 season encapsulated. And it was like 233, 236, 237. He's all over the place. He's jumping indoor, outdoor, and all these fast approaches and these great shots of him right at the bar. And then there's one, it says 240 question mark. And he comes in and he hits this amazing angle. And as he goes up and pushes off the ground, as his toes leaving the ground, I'm looking at the body line and it's tilted away from the bar. It is
Hmm.
not perfectly vertical. It is literally about 1 or 2 degrees inside vertical the other way. And he goes up and I mean, it was what? 240 is like 710 and a quarter, 710 and a half. And he has 2 inches of hip height on that one. I don't even know how he missed, but I'm like, that's it. That's what I've been talking about. That's inside vertical. You can't convince me otherwise. The video doesn't lie. I'm like, you can't leave the ground inside out vertical, can you? I'm like, well, apparently you can. You can. And to prove my point from earlier about physics, you still go up and over the bar, you still land in the pit, right?
Hmm.
It's
Right.
like faith, right? It's really like faith. Is physics work the way that you say it does? It's like smart brain says yes, survival brain says you're insane.
No.
That'll never work. You're going to kill me and I'm going to be done high jumping. So I don't think so. Oh, you got me rambling now. Well, Jordan, I actually have to get off to work, but this has been
Right.
amazing. I am so thankful
Yes.
that you
Thank you so
said
much for
yes.
having me.
This is great. I am just inviting you forever to perpetually come back from time to time. Tell us what's
Thank
up with
you.
Jordan. Tell us where you're going. Show us your training. Oh my gosh, I am the biggest fan. This is great stuff.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Jordan, God bless you. You have a great
Guys,
week.
have a great
Great,
day. Good day at school.
good exams. I know you got all that stuff coming up, and
Hmm.
as you head into this, your senior year, I can't wait to see what happens. I think there's so much here. You're going to jump out of the building.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, Jordan. God bless you.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk
Have a
soon.
great day.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Bye. Stop share. And that was Jordan Spolander. What a just classy young gal. She's over there in South Africa, Cape Town. She's already jumped 1.80 m, which is very close to 6 feet. You heard her a 1.77 m. She's jumping over her own head, which in Barb's in my mind, Barbara Bachoka, my number one jumper from Canada. She always told me, and I agree that to really be an upper echelon high jumper, you have to be jumping higher than your own head. So that comes in, and then of course it raises questions on who's the greatest, which arguably might be Stefan Holm from Sweden, who was only 5'11" and jumped 7'11". So that's 2 feet over your head for those that are paying attention. I was 6'3.5" and jumped 7'3.5", so I managed to get a foot over mine. But in the big picture, that's not very good. So I do love talking about it. I wished I could have jumped a lot higher. Uh, I've learned a lot of things that probably would have helped on those fronts back in the day, but were not done by me because I didn't know any better. But again, thank you to Jordan for the time. Just a classy young lady, loaded with talent. She did not tell us where she was leaning in this search, but she did mention the big names that she was being recruited by. And I heard SC and I heard Arkansas. So it sounds like it's either going to be Big Ten or SEC. And I'm sure there will be some performance money loaded in there and things like that, because she's not going to come in as your typical recruit from high school. Some of these, state champs here in the U.S. may be 5'6", maybe 5'8". You're going to find a few 5'10s, every year, and maybe an occasional 6-footer. We're a huge nation, and so is Africa. But her coming in, she's already jumped 5'10" ish at 182, or 180 is very close. 5'11. She's knocking on the door right there. And once you start getting to 6 feet 6'1", you're definitely NC2A level class and bordering on world class, because it doesn't take much more after that. You start jumping 6'4" at any of these international meets, depending on the day, you could place pretty highly. And I think at the Olympics, 6'4" was what did Elena Elena from Georgia, she jumped like 6'4 3/4", came in eighth. So if you're jumping 6'4", 6'6" was way up there. I think the gold was at what, 202, which is like 6'7". So yeah, it depends on the year, but she's going to be a player for sure, God willing. So all right, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm exiting on a high. That was just a fun time. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, I'm Troy Haynes. This is the Raise the Bar podcast of the Sky High and Flight Jump Lab. Do hit the subscribe button down at the bottom. Follow the podcast. We're not exclusively high jump. We do get over the bar and the pole vault, and we also talk long jump and triple jump sometimes. We talk with coaches, we talk with trainers, we talk with sometimes even other events. I've had teammates of mine on. The great Kevin Young was a hurdler at UCLA and world class, won the Olympic gold. John Fraser, a teammate of mine, was a shot putter, hammer thrower, and great coach now at Texas State. So we have run the gamut. Sometimes even most motivational, psychological, nutritional. We've had Brad Kearns on before, and bringing up Brad again, I'm an affiliate of Brad's and bradnutrition.com. So if you go to his site and you would like to get any of his stuff, please use my promo code SkyHighAndFly10, all small letters, SKYHIANDFLY 10. And that's how you can get 10% off at his site. And if you use Amazon to order your stuff, you can use the promo code SkyHighFly. It's SKYHIFLY 10. That's 10% off at Amazon, and those are all caps. So we've had Brad on before. He's great talking nutrition and training ideas and recovery. And for those of you that are masters athletes that I've been working with, just sticking around and still being, viable and still competing at a high level, even when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s like me and Brad. So anyway, got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to be dropping down that checklist 2.0. I'm going to say it here so that I be held as a man of my word that I will get that done, because Barb's been bugging me to get the 2.0 done and get it on the site. So until next time, Troy Haynes, Raise the Bar, signing off. God bless you. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon again.